building today, which perhaps more than any of us has been witness to the struggles of independence, it is a great honor for every society to pay homage to the sacrifices of our forefathers. Before we begin with the society presentations, we will have Hashim Umar from the Music Society play the national anthem.
Short skit based on the pre-partition political environment in the subcontinent.
Our skit will showcase a fictional meeting between Mahatma Gandhi, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Lord Mountbatten, played by Abdullah Osman, Haider Ali and Ahmed Raza Khan respectively.
Our skit was written by the Executive Council, comprising of myself, Zaid Akhtar, Raja Ahmed Saeed and Hamzadi Javed.
We hope you enjoy the show.
A united India is the only possible way to ensure long-lasting peace.
Well, I rather think the opposite, because our two communities simply cannot coexist.
That is a false statement. Hindus and Muslims have begun to cooperate over the last few years. I will admit that the Congress has contributed towards the historic tensions between Hindus and Muslims.
If you believe the massacre of minorities and the viciously anti-Muslim policies of the Congress demonstrate any kind of cooperation or reflect any kind of tension, you are severely mistaken.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Well, have we reached an agreement?
Well,
sir, I, along with the majority of the Indian population, believe in a united India. And Mr. Jinnah here has the future unity of our India at risk.
Is that so?
Well, it is true that I believe in a separate state for the Muslim population and for all other minorities that wish to escape the oppression of the Congress.
This two-nation theory will tear us apart.
Well, I agree with your sentiments, Mr. Gandhi. It is true that India is in a most critical state and requires the smoothest transition of power and administration. Which is why I believe the United Nations is the most feasible option at hand. Mr. Jinnah, I would request you to reconsider your stance.
I was once a firm believer in a united India. I too lived in this ideal world where all communities could live in peace. But this belief is simply rooted in delusion and falsehood. The seeds of violence and prejudice have been sown into our respective communities, and the only way to prevent more bloodshed is to have a separate state. I want to give the Muslim population and all other minorities a separate state where they can practice their religious and their personal freedoms without reprimand. A state whose very name is synonymous with peace and prosperity. And that state will be Pakistan. India is beyond repair at this point. And the only way our two communities will truly heal is if we have a partition and provide a true homeland for all those who have been wronged.
Next, in a collaboration between the Aitchison College Model United Nations Society and the Aitchison College Debate Society, we will have a simulation of the second roundtable conference.
For a series of peace talks between the various factions in India during colonial times. It was a time of immense strife within our nation, as our founder Jinnah had presented his 14 points for Muslim autonomy and independence. Here is the first time these major historical figures began to trash out a vision for the future of the subcontinent. A vision that would be realized over a decade later on the 14th of August 1947 with the founding of both India and Pakistan. Through the extraordinary efforts of both the leaders within the Muslim League and the Muslim Ummah at large. The following will be a simulation of the roundtable conference, featuring important historical figures from both the Muslim League and the Indian National Congress to represent the divergent views of the Indian citizens at this period in time. I will now be recognizing each of these figures in turn. All those who wish to be recognized, please raise your placards.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a speech. But today, we won't be using it. Instead, we'll be speaking from the heart. We'll be speaking from the heart because the cries of our Muslim brothers can be put into a piece of paper. We'll be speaking from the heart because the plight of minorities is still unaddressed. And we will be speaking from the heart because the British brought forth the Simon Commission in the most tone-deaf way possible. And the Congress issued the Nehru Report, which put us in another worse position. Today, the Muslim Brotherhood's heart quivers with the fear of abandonment. Gandhi's non-cooperation has led to the failure of the first roundtable conference. The Nehru Report has failed to recognize the issues minorities face, and the British are yet to take any significant steps. What the Muslims need is extremely simple, and I'll lay that out. Firstly, we want for the Congress to be involved in these talks, and we want them to recognize that they are not representatives of all of India. They are only representatives of Hindus and non-Muslims. Secondly, we want the steps taken by the Nehru Report to be reversed in order to preserve our rights and in order to preserve our national language, Urdu. Thirdly, we want for the Indians to have a greater say in their government. We want there to be reserved seats and reserved suffrage percentage for Muslims themselves. Fourthly, we want for the British coalition government to be open to compromise. And lastly, and most importantly, we want the entirety of the subcontinent to recognize our 14-point plan. Today, I, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, stand as a symbol for peace and stand as a symbol for hope. Please don't be a barrier for those two things. And we hope to see these talks bear fruit. Thank you.
Speak in opposition, Mahatma Gandhi.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting for independence. Independence against the British. Independence against the tyranny that has brought about division within Mother India. This is not a fight of Muslims against Hindus. This is not a fight for Pakistan. This is a fight for all of India. Understand that what Muhammad Ali Jinnah is saying is the same rule that the British has used against us. Divide and conquer. Imagine how great Mother India will be if all of us, if all of our resources are united against for the fight of independence. Understand, we reject Muhammad Ali Jinnah's 14 points. We reject those points because they do not represent India. They do not represent every Muslim, Hindu, Christian. They represent division. Because understand, when you ask for a separate state, you reject secularism. You reject the fact that all Indians must be treated equally, regardless of their religion, caste, and creed. Understand that the Pakistan Muslim League does not represent every Muslim. Understand that the Indian National Congress's president himself, Abdul Kalam Azad, is a Muslim. The Pakistan Muslim League does not represent every Muslim within India. It represents the upper echelons of society, the children of privileged men, the children of zamindars. The Indian National Congress has fought for independence and it has done so greatly. We were not contesting elections which we knew we would lose because we had the support of the public. We had the Salt March, we had the non-cooperation movement, and that has brought the British Army to our tables. Understand that if you vote for a united India, you vote for every Indian, not some privileged individual who went to Cambridge to study. Understand that if you vote for the Indian National Congress, you vote for every individual within India, and you vote for this fight for independence against the tyranny of the British Army. We hope you support us in our fight, and we pray that the Indian National Congress will form a government in 1947. Thank you.
All those who wish to be recognized, please raise your placards. Prince Aga Khan.
Honorable members, I feel honored to be part of this conference, a conference called yet again to discuss the prestigious report of the Simon Commission regarding political unrest in India. While for Lord Irwin, the minorities in India are pleased to witness that you are putting special attention to them. That you are putting special attention to them and the atrocities which are about to be committed with the minorities if the Nehru report was put into being. The Nehru report for us is nothing more than a piece of a document that clearly talks about the sidelining of the minorities and their rights within the India. The Nehru report would have led to the marginalization within the society. It would have led to a significant increase in the anti-Hindu sentiment within India. It would have pushed the society towards a civil war and a bloodbath. Unknown of the consequences, the Congress presented and supported the Nehru report. But we believe that now is the time for us to change our policy for the betterment of our people and move towards the Jinnah's 14 points which speak for every single minority group within India. Honorable members, let us be the light in the dark. Let us be the calm in the storm. And let us be at peace while at war. Thank you.
Wish to speak in opposition? Abdul Kalam Azad.
Honorable speakers, Assalamu alaikum. There are amongst you those who wish for separation. Those who believe that this nation will solve all their problems. Fellow Muslims, I understand your pain and the suffering that you have to go through. But I assure you, Pakistan is not the viable option. If Pakistan is formed, there would remain 3 crore Muslims scattered in small minorities all over the land. With lower percentages in the Hindu majority provinces than before, they will be much weaker than they are today. Muslims leave behind centuries-old homes and well-known centers of Muslim culture and civilization. But most importantly, you leave behind on the idea that India is a united nation and it cares for everyone that lives within it. You forget about the Muslims that you will leave behind, who will find themselves as aliens and foreigners, backwards industrially, educationally and economically. From the Hindus that you are running away from, you will not be able to save these Muslims. Pakistan will be a weak and vulnerable country. Nowhere in this Pakistan would Muslims be strong enough to compete with these Indians. What's stopping the British from conquering over this weakened piece of land? What's stopping the British from implementing the policy of divide and conquer? What's stopping the Indians from attacking this piece of land? This series of fights and battles will never end. But if the Muslims stay in India, negotiations and compromises can be made. For the past 20 years, Muslims and Hindus have worked together. The Lucknow Pact, the Non-Cooperation Peace Pact. Muslims and Hindus can work together. Muslims will make 33% of the population, allowing them to fight for their own rights and to allow them to do what they want in this country. There will be unity, there will be peace in this new country. Please understand. If India does not get freedom, it would be India's loss. But if Muslims and Hindus do not unite, it will be humanity's loss. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all members of the Roundtable Conference for their contributions to this debate. Now, I would like any of the members to submit a final proposal for this conference.
While the second Roundtable Conference may have failed, in essence, one thing was known for sure by the end of it, that any attempt at reconciliation between the All India Muslim League and the Congress was destined to fail. But one other thing was known for sure as well, that the confidence and perseverance shown by the Muslim leaders during this conference was to be carried forward to the Simla Conference and then on to the signing of the Pakistan resolution. This confidence and perseverance, coupled with the struggle, eventually won for us our dear country, our homeland, our freedom. Thank you for that great display, gentlemen. Pakistan, Zindabad, Pakistan, Zindabad. Thank you.
I, Hasnain Azaman, the President of Aitchison College Law Society, would like to congratulate you on the 74th Independence Day of Pakistan. August the 47th, Pakistan came into its existence as the provider and protector of all religious, ethnic and cultural minorities. It provided a shelter to everyone who was oppressed under the colonial tyranny. It came in with wide arms open for everyone regardless of culture, caste or creed. Throughout its 74 years, Pakistan has had some major breakthroughs in law. From the Constitution of Pakistan being introduced at such an early year, 1956, then 1962, then 1973, which ultimately is the supreme law of Pakistan. From the provisions of law to what we are standing on right now today. From 1947 to 1956, Pakistan was governed under the Government of India Act of 1935, which was introduced under the British Raj, which was ultimately inspired by the common law of England and Wales. In 1956, Pakistan introduced its first constitution, and which we are very proud of because it allowed us to call ourselves the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. In 1962, another constitution was introduced, which was actually a presidential system that we were going to be governed under. However, this was later repealed in 1973, and the 1970 constitution was actually a revised version of the 1956 constitution. And that constitution stands to date as the supreme law of Pakistan.
Moreover, the Constitution of Pakistan is an elaborate document which accords for every basic human right, including freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of religion. Even though the Constitution of Pakistan is based on the Government of India Act 1935, but the legislative work from our competitive and competent parliamentarians over the past 70 years have made sure that it is up to the mark and it is updated to the changing needs of the society. From regulations of ethical hacking to addition of cyber laws to the mental health ordinance being introduced in 2001 and the in being introduced in 2001 and the redundant laws being repealed, the Pakistan constitution remained up to the mark. Moving forward, furthermore, the National Commission of Women Bill 2012 was introduced by the President of Pakistan on the 8th of March 2012. Finally, I would like to conclude my presentation with the words of Ayatollah Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who said, and I quote, "Equality, justice and fair play to everybody." Thank you.
Morning and Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Rayhan Ahmed, and on behalf of the Aitchison College Literary Society, I welcome everyone to the 14th August Independence Day ceremony. To commemorate this eventful day, we will recite the Independence Day by Edgar Albert Guest, a poem which beautifully describes how a nation's love for itself can be seen by how its citizens fight for independence and enjoy its fruits in freedom. Now, I would like to invite Basil Sami to the podium to recite the poem.
What does it all mean anyway? Noise of cannon and boom of gun, deafening, colorful fire display, starting in with the rising sun. It means that this land of ours, fringed with mountains and decked with flowers, warm with sunshine and wet with dew, is gave the heights for people to. Every whizzing rocket that seeks the sky and bursts in beauty the world above, proclaims aloud as it journeys high, a nation's pride and a nation's love. It seems to speak of her wonders here, her mind so rich and her sky so clear. Her harvest rare and her waving pines, her fields of green and her creeping vines. Oh, a glorious day is this day we keep, for under the noise and waving scent is a strain of love that is wide and deep. A touch of a nation's sentiment. Love of cannon, love of country, the cannon speaks. Love of freedom, the rocket shrieks. Love of the flag that waves above. This is the meaning of a nation's love. Thank you.
Today, we will be representing the quiz society. Before we start, please go through the small quiz we have shared with you all. And if you do not mind, please fill in your answers as the presentation proceeds. The answers for all the questions will be found within the presentation. Independence Day, 14 March. An introduction. Pakistan lies in South Asia, with India on its eastern border, China on its northeastern border. The country's southwest border is shared with Iran, while its western and northern borders are shared with Afghanistan. Pakistan's southern border with 1,064 kilometers of coastline is the Arabian Sea. The history of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan began on 14th of August 1947, when the country became an independent nation in the form of Dominion of Pakistan within the British Commonwealth as the result of Pakistan movement and the partition of India. Now, I am pleased to share a few wonderful facts about Pakistan with all of you. The Pakistan's national anthem is ranked the world's best national anthem, and Pakistan also holds the record for the highest number of people singing the anthem together. Hafiz Jahandari wrote the national anthem of Pakistan. Pakistan has the world's largest ambulance network. Pakistan's ED Foundation, which is also listed in the Guinness Book of World Records, operates the network. The national fruit of Pakistan is the mango. Pakistan is also home to the world's highest ATM. It belongs to the National Bank and is at 4,963 meters at the Punjab Pass. Changa Manga is Pakistan's mango forest and is the largest around the globe. Pakistan became the first Islamic country to attain nuclear power on 28 May 1998. Electoral Chokar is the national bird of Pakistan. The Karakoram Highway is the world's highest paved international road. The 800-mile highway connects Pakistan to Western China and reaches a maximum height of 15,300 feet. The late Benazir Bhutto was the first woman to head a democratic government in a Muslim-majority country. The world's first PC virus was created by two Pakistani brothers. Basit Farooq Alvi and Amjad Farooq Alvi created BRAIN, which was discovered in 1986 and targeted IBM PC platforms. Pakistan hosts 5 major deserts, which were historic forests. Sugarcane juice is the national drink of Pakistan. In Pakistan, it is also known as ro. Pakistan has the only fertile desert in the world, the Tabarda Desert located in Sindh province. The Kherwa salt mine in Pakistan is the second largest and oldest salt mine in the world.
Honorable observers, this presentation provides evidence for the majesty of Pakistan, and no matter how many drawbacks this country has or will face, we should always remember to persevere and to be a proud Pakistan. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to EN. You are watching Economic Talk. Joining us today is a prominent economist of the country, Mr. Bilal Shakir, who is currently serving as advisor to Chief Minister of Punjab on economic affairs and planning. We are also joined by Mr. Musa, who is currently serving as advisor to Prime Minister on commerce and investment. Welcome to you both and thank you for coming. Considering that today marks 74 years since independence, we are here to discuss today with our panel on how Pakistan's economy has developed over the years and what are the key economic priorities. Mr. Bilal, at the time of independence, the situation in Pakistan was desperate, with many believing that the country would not survive. However, we thrived. What do you think changed?
Firstly, I would like to thank you for having me here. Personally, I feel that Pakistan's growth experience has been nothing short of impressive. Of course, we had a few setbacks, but every country has those. It has been impressive because the rapid growth rate has resulted in a quadrupling of per capita income and reduction in poverty rate despite having a fairly high population growth. As you all know, at its inception in 1947, Pakistan had a predominantly agrarian economy. Agriculture contributed to 53% to the GDP of Pakistan in 1947, but in 2020, agriculture contributes to 22.69% to the GDP of Pakistan.
Certainly, the share of agriculture in the GDP has decreased over the years. What do you think is the impact of this on Pakistan?
Well, in my opinion, the decision to move Pakistan from a more agriculture-dependent economy to a more industrial one was a very smart move. The import substituting industrialization during the 1950s, massive inflow of American aid, political stability during the 1960s enabled Pakistan to sustain high rates of economic growth. The good news is that Pakistan's GDP is expected to reach $280 billion by the end of 2021, which is remarkable. And the poverty rate is 39.2%, which is a significant improvement to the 1950s and 1960s.
Thank you, Mr. Bilal, for an answer. Now moving on towards Pakistan's economic sector, the pattern has changed drastically over the years. From producing only agriculture goods to now producing as well as exporting manufactured goods and services. Mr. Musa, what do you think would involve this change?
Well, considering that the service sector is one of the largest and fastest growing sectors in the world economy, it's not surprising that Pakistan should be looking to invest to grow the tertiary sector. Rising business and consumer demands stemming from service-related activities and manufacturing firms certainly have enhanced the road highway. In our case, shares of services have rapidly increased over the period of time.
Can you please elaborate on this point?
Well, the government has been generous enough to offer several incentives for taxes and procedures in the 21-22 budget system. And I'll tell you one thing, Systems Limited, one of the largest IT services listed on the Pakistan Stock Exchange, recently posted an all-time yearly high revenue of Rs 10 billion. And I'll tell you another thing, the remittances from exports of computer services and call center services have amounted to $648.9 million in the current fiscal year, July to February. This has shown a significant growth of 38.16% over the previous years. Now, all this is truly remarkable, but none of this would have been possible had it not been for our economic development over the course of our history and in the present day. The economic development highlighted the key role played by the manufacturing sector, and that has helped us progress from a low-income to lower middle-income country to us finally achieving our objective of poverty reduction.
No wonder, in a recent survey conducted by Go Banking Rate Company, Pakistan was ranked as the cheapest country to live in. Moreover, the service sector has improved remarkably in recent years. What do you think Pakistan should do in the future?
Well, certainly we need to keep this up. And to do that, we need to do three things. Increase national savings, have higher investment rates, achieve budget surpluses to minimize our domestic and external debt burden, and most of all, have political stability.
Thank you, Mr. Bilal and Mr. Muslim, for giving us this insightful overview of Pakistan. This is Ibrahim Shahid, and you are watching Economic Focus. Thank you.
Ever since the decline of the Mughal Empire, Islamic nationalization rose in the subcontinent. Leaders such as Haji Shariatullah believed in a separate homeland for the Hindus and the Muslims. First of all, we move on to the two-nation theory. Proposed by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan in 1870, the two-nation theory called for two separate states for the Muslims and the Hindus. It represented views of various leaders such as Haji Shariatullah and others. It formed the basis of the formation of the Muslim League and was also the basis of the Pakistan Resolution introduced on 23rd March in 1940. Now moving on towards the All India Muslim League. The All India Muslim League was formed on the basis of one simple reason: to give a voice to the minority that was the Muslims in the subcontinent, to be a voice for the oppressed, to be a voice for the minority. It was formed in 1930 in Iqbal's Allahabad address. He called for a separate nation. He built upon the views presented by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. The All India Muslim League did not criticize Islam, rather used it as a uniting force. Now moving on to religious freedom in the subcontinent. Although Pakistan was the only nation in the world formed on the basis of Islam, formed as an Islamic republic, there was an enormous amount of religious freedom in the subcontinent. The constitution called for the protection of all minorities. Important posts such as the Chief Justice of Pakistan could be a non-Muslim. Apart from that, it also guaranteed fundamental and basic human rights to all those, regardless of their religion. Now moving on to the courts of Iqbal and to the courts of Jinnah. They used Islam as a uniting force. They used Islam as a force to drive the Muslims, to inspire the Muslims to strive for their separate homeland. Due to their efforts, we live in a country where we can freely practice our religion and we can freely live. Apart from that, moving on to the Constitution of Pakistan. Though the Constitution saw several changes in terms of political theories and political ideas, one thing remained same throughout all of them. Ladies and gentlemen, the basic Islamic principles. The basic Islamic principles remained same throughout the three drafts of the Constitution of Pakistan. It called for the head of state to be a Muslim. It called for Sharia law to be followed.
and no law to be passed that is not in accordance with the Sharia law. Now moving on to Islamization in Pakistan. Several ordinances were introduced in the term of Ziaul Haq. These called for the pillars of Islam to be followed. These called for Zakat to be followed. These called for other fundamental principles of Islam to be followed. For example, the Zakat ordinance, the Hudud ordinance. Apart from that, a Majlis Shura was set up as acting as an advisory council. Ladies and gentlemen, in the end, we would like to say that Pakistan was built due to the efforts and due to the uniting force of several Muslims led under Aitchison, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Thank you.
Science and technology, the implementation of which was some of the founding principles of the country. Assalamu alaikum everyone. On behalf of the Aitchison College Mathematics Society to the Center for Independent State, today I will be discussing some Pakistani mathematicians and their contributions to mathematics and Pakistan. Firstly, we have Dr. Muhammad Aslam. Dr. Aslam was born in British India in 1900. He received his doctorate in mathematics and became professor of the subject at Khalsa College in Aitchison. He, through his mathematical prowess, became a renowned cartographer, and because of his skills, he was appointed the Surveyor General of Pakistan upon partition. He was given the arduous task of mapping out the borders of East and West Pakistan, and so played an important part in the partition of India and Pakistan in 1947. Before this, he also contributed in the mapping of the troubled northwest Punjab province in the 1930s. He was awarded the Nishani-e-Mayun by the Shah of Iran, Reza Shah Pahlavi, in 1956 for the demarcation of the border with Persia. Now, he also won the Tamil Prize in 1966 for his contribution to the two-boundary commission, and later contributed to clarifying the borders with India and China. Next we have Allama Inayatullah Khan Mashriqi. Allama Mashriqi was born in 1888 in British India. He was a successful mathematician, logician, and Islamic scholar. He studied mathematics at the University of Punjab and was awarded his master's degree. He was most famous for his book Tazkira, which included the commentary on the Holy Quran in the light of science and mathematics. He was also nominated for a Nobel Prize for this book. Last round of mathematicians that I will discuss in detail, we have Muhammad Razaruddin Siddiqui. Mr. Razaruddin was born in 1908. He was a Pakistani-American theoretical physicist who worked as a part of NASA around the time of partition. He was also a notable student of Albert Einstein who worked on the general theory of relativity, quantum gravity, and nuclear energy. He returned to Pakistan in the 1970s and headed the mathematical department of the nuclear project, which won him many accolades from the Pakistan Academy of Sciences and the Pakistan Mathematics Society, among many others. These included the Sakara Imtiaz in 1960, the Hilali Imtiaz in 1981, and then Nishani Imtiaz posthumously in 1998. He was also awarded the Gold Medal from the Pakistan Academy of Sciences in 1950 and from the Pakistan Academy of Mathematical Society in 1980. He also received the Gold Medallion from the Pakistan Physical Society in 1953. As you can see, mathematics has always been an incredibly important subject for the country, with many mathematicians including universal contributions, including those from Dr. Ismail Bey, known and commended internationally for his work on set theory, and more specifically the fuzzy set theory. And Dr. Qasem Mushtaq, who has major contributions in the areas of combinatorial group theory, algebraic number theory, and on top of which he invented a new algebraic structure known as the locally associative semigroup. There have been numerous breakthroughs in mathematics building on his work. Thank you for your attention, and happy Sunday for Independence.
Thank you for that presentation. Enter society to give their presentation. Our speech on the technological heroes of Pakistan following the courses that are displayed across senior school diagram.
The
14th of August, a celebration 75 years strong and representative of the venerated history and great accomplishments that have blessed these shores in decades gone past. Now, through great adversity, the Pakistani spirit of grit and perseverance has triumphed over the challenges that it has faced over the past 74 years, from the immense struggle that resulted in its creation to the turmoil which it faced directly after, and in which Pakistan has never found itself, a fledgling nation that was clamoring to survive. And yet, against all of the odds, survived it has. And as we look back today on the storied past of Pakistan, the Computer Society implores you to take a minute to consider the future and those technology heroes of Pakistan that are playing a crucial role in shaping that future. And to that end, the Computer Society has scattered posters all across America highlighting these various technological heroes serving Pakistan. Yet today I'd like to focus on one in particular, Dr. Umar Saif, who himself is an Aitchison and a true visionary in the field of computer science. He's been using his talent and ability recently as a force for good, serving as an advisor for the United Nations Development Program in Pakistan. He has served and continues to serve a crucial part in the rapid digitization of government and record-keeping in Pakistan, and he's been hailed as the brains behind the IT ecosystem in Pakistan. And as a result of his hard work and dedication, he has been the recipient of various prestigious awards from the World Economic Forum and Google. However, perhaps his most crucial invention, which is even relevant today, is the invention of the 2011 dengue response system, which introduced Pakistan and indeed much of the world to the concept of an efficient and effective track and trace system. This tremendous success of the program paved the way to the life-saving technology that we know today that is being used to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic around the world. However, moving on, it is impossible to talk about technology heroes in Pakistan without making a reference to the esteemed Salim Tariq. Known previously as the founder of NetSol Technologies, his company is the only CMMI's level 5 organization in the country and joins a small handful of elite software organizations across the entire globe. NetSol has established itself as Pakistan's lead software exporter for generations, and his company caters to the blue-chip needs of some of the biggest IT organizations across the globe. He founded NetSol initially with this vision of driving forward Pakistan's position in the IT world and creating a sustainable market for homegrown talent in IT. And therefore, he helped grow the IT sector in Pakistan beyond belief. And as a result, his efforts have been recognized. He's been the recipient of awards from the Asia Pacific ICT Association. However, apart from his endeavors with his company NetSol, he also chairs the Federal ICT Task Force, working to review and recommend national policy with regards to IT. And along with Dr. Musaf, he has been the driving force in furthering the IT sector in Pakistan. However, far beyond just the awards and achievements that I mentioned here today, Dr. Umar Salim and all the other tech innovators whose posters you'll find across Bangkok represent a true milestone in terms of Pakistan and computer science. They represent true heroes, people who dedicated themselves to their fields and as a result achieved extraordinary things. For all of us, they serve as model role models whose footsteps we can follow to achieve success in whatever our own dreams are. And so, as we look back on the gradual yet rapid development of Pakistan as a nation, spare a thought for these tech heroes that have played and continue to play a huge part in the future of our nation. May their passion, dedication and commitment inspire us all, watching and waiting in the wings, ready to take their place as technology heroes of Pakistan.
Thank you. Next, we have the presentation from the Science Society.
Faith and discipline. Time surely flies by. Good morning and assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure all of you have gathered here today on this very auspicious occasion to celebrate with glamorous stalls and noteworthy presentations. But today, I ask you, have we ever commemorated about those prodigies, those researchers, those innovators, and those great minds that did work like no other and achieved great feats in the field of science and technology? Today, I ask you, have you ever pondered upon those greatly and highly respected, well-known personalities that changed the course of the history? Gentlemen, today I ask you that have we failed to do so or not? Surely the answer is no. Now gentlemen, therefore the Aitchison College Science Society believes that it is their utmost responsibility to shed light upon some of the most praiseworthy personalities who changed the course of the history and did things that matter the most. So presenting from 1976 to 2016, paying a small tribute to those who did things the honourable, things the honourable.
ख़वातीन व हज़रात, मैं आपका बेहद ममनून हूँ कि आपने मुझे ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम लीग के इजलास की सदारत का मौका दिया, वो भी ऐसे वक्त पे जब हिंदुस्तान मुस्लिम सियासी फिक्र व अमल की तारीख में नाजुक तरीन लम्हात से गुजर रहा। मैं किसी जमात का हमरा नहीं और ना ही किसी हमरा का पैरोकार हूँ, लिहाजा मैं आपकी रहनुमाई का दावा तो नहीं करता, मगर आप सब में इस्लाम के हवाले से एहसास जगाने की एक आजिज़ाना कोशिश करूँ। आप सबसे गुजारिश है कि इस्लाम और कौमियत के मौजू पर तवज्जो फरमाएं। अगर आपका ये ख्याल है कि मजहब का ताल्लुक सिर्फ आखिरत से है, तो मैं आपसे इख्तिलाफ करता हूँ। यूरोप ही को देख लीजिए, जहाँ हज़रत ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम के आलमगीर इखलाकी निज़ाम की जगह सियासत और इखलाकियात के कौमी निज़ामों ने ले ली। इससे यूरोप इस नतीजे पर पहुँचने के लिए मजबूर हुआ है कि मजहब हर फर्द का ज़ाती मामला है और इसका दुनियावी ज़िंदगी से तो कोई ताल्लुक नहीं, जबकि इस्लाम इंसान की वहदत को मादे और रूह को मुतज़ाद दबी में तकसीम नहीं करता। इस्लाम में खुदा और कायनात, रूह और मादा, कलीसा और रियासत एक कुल के मुख्तलिफ अज्जा। इसलिए एक रियासत में मजहब का बुनियाद होना निहायत है, क्योंकि इसके बगैर बेरब्त रियासतें कायम होती हैं जिनमें इंसानी जज्बे के बजाय कौमी अगराज की बालादस्ती हो। अपने मसाइल को एक तरफ रखा जाए तो इस बात में तो कोई दो राय नहीं कि मुसलमान मजहबी, सकाफती और दीगर बहुत से हवालात से हिंदुओं से मुख्तलिफ है। उनका नेहरू रिपोर्ट को हिंदुस्तान के हतमी आइन के तौर पर पेश करना और मुसलमानों के मुतालबात पर गौर तक न करना सिर्फ अफसोसनाक नहीं बल्कि खतरनाक है। मेरा कहम तो मुझे यही सोचने पर मजबूर कर रहा है कि मुसलमान और हिंदुओं का एक साथ अमन व अमान में रहना बिल्कुल मुमकिन है। इसलिए मुसलमानों को अपने अलहदा वतन या हिंदुस्तान में अपने सूबों को हासिल करने के लिए जिद्दोजहद करना जरूरी है। लेकिन अगर हम मुसलमान को आज़ाद देखना चाहते हैं तो फिरका बंदी की बीमारी से निजात पाना चाहिए। मुझे उम्मीद है कि अब मुझे इस बाज़ारे इल्मी बहस के लिए माफ़ कर दें। आखिर आपने ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम लीग के इस इजलास की सदारत के लिए एक ऐसे शख्स को मुंतखब किया है जो इस अम्र में मायूस नहीं है कि इस्लाम अपनी एक जिंदा कुव्वत है जो इंसान के तसव्वुर को जुग्राफिया हदूद से आज़ाद करा सकती है, जिसका ये अकीदा है कि मजहब को फर्द और रियासत की ज़िंदगी में बेइंतहा अहमियत हासिल है और जिसका ये ईमान है कि इस्लाम बजाय खुद तकदीर है, इसे किसी दूसरी तकदीर के हवाले नहीं किया जा सकता। आप सब की समातों का बहुत शुक्रिया।
And Yom Azadi Mubarak. Our forefathers have gone through many sacrifices and have gone through many difficulties to make sure that we can live a better life. They have built businesses that have involved Pakistan and made it an integral part of the global community and have helped bring wealth to Pakistan. Today, we'll be talking about 4 startups in particular. These startups are responsible for the 75 million or 70% of investments that are brought to Pakistan every year.
Firstly, we have Airlift. Now, Airlift offers the users the convenience of booking a ride from their home. It now recruits over 50,000 drivers, and due to its immense success and operation in various cities, it has also launched a grocery delivery service called Airlift Express. The company raised over $25 million in funding from local as well as foreign investors. With them yet to begin their Series B funding, it is evident that the company is looking to expand both locally and internationally.
Next up, Zameen.com. Zameen.com has established itself as the primary properties listing website in Pakistan. With over 5 million monthly visitors visiting over 11 monthly listings each month, it is evident that this portal has many more places to go. The thing that makes Zameen.com different from its competitors is the fact that it uses a subscription-based listing instead of relying on advertisements. Zameen.com was also responsible for hosting Pakistan's first property expo back in 2019. They have also partnered with banks such as Bank Al-Falah and JS Global and have been responsible for $29 million in seeding and fund money. Now, Zameen.com is worth over an astonishing $1 billion.
Dubbed as the PayPal of Pakistan, Aitchison has established itself as one of the most prominent microfinance banking services in the country, and because of that, it has the success of handling over $60 million worth of transactions, and its 9 million active users are proof that it has the ability to rival even commercial banks. One of the company's current goal is to expand their services and add the ability of international transactions for their consumers. And after years of toil, Aitchison now owns around 36.7% share of the online banking sector, and it is looking to surpass its next largest competitor, which is Jasper.
Lastly, Cheetah. Cheetah was established in 2015 with an initial investment of $7.8 million. They operated in 5 cities at the time and have now expanded. They are now worth over $350 million. Cheetah have also partnered with various banks, including Bank Al-Falah. They've also been able to get their Series A funding, which means that they've had to get at least $2 million in profit per annum for 2 years. Their growth rate is higher than the majority of delivery services, the reason being that their aim is not to please their shareholders, but to reach their goals, and this is why it propels them ahead of their competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your time. Now, all of this is just the tip of the iceberg, and Pakistan still has a long way to go. We place our faith in our future generations to build upon the success of our previous generations and build the prosperous Pakistan that Quaid-e-Azam always dreamed for.
Pakistan Zindabad.
But I've also shown how far Pakistan has come, be it in the fields of entrepreneurship, math, or technology. However, we cannot ignore that the last 2 years have been very difficult, not just on us, but also on our country as a whole. Hence, to end our ceremony on a positive note, I invite the History Society, who has presented a documentary highlighting the positivity and beauty within Pakistan's landscape and its culture, and the Music Society for a special patriotic performance. Give a hand of applause to the societies which set up the stalls that you view. The Art Society, the Geography Society, the Chess, the French, the German Society, and the Humanitarian and Environmental Society. Also to commemorate this, the German Society has also prepared a patriotic song, and I invite them to please give their presentation.
Music composer Mr. Sohail Rana. He has contributed enormously to Pakistani cinema, working alongside stars like Bheel Murad, Ahmed Rushdi. Moreover, he has composed over 2,000 songs for children, granting us masterpieces like Sugni Bhatti, Jigar Pakistan. His program, which aired on the state-owned channel for 19 years, was a platform for young artists and singers to display their talent, like Nazia Hassan, Mona Sisters, Benjamin Sisters, and Afsha Ahmed. He has received several accolades for his work, including the Pride of Performance Award, Sitara Imtiaz, and the United Nations Peace Messenger Award. To him, his fans, and to 70 years of Pakistan-Germany relations, we dedicate the following song, Dosti Aisa Nata.
Dosti aisa nata, dosti aisa nata, jo sone se bhi महंगा, jo sone se bhi महंगा.
Freundschaft, eine Bindung, Freundschaft, eine Bindung, die teurer als sie wohl ist, die teurer als sie wohl ist.
Dosti aisa nata, dosti aisa nata, jo sone se bhi महंगा, jo sone se bhi महंगा.
Freundschaft, eine Bindung, Freundschaft, eine Bindung, die teurer als sie wohl ist, die teurer als sie wohl ist.
जहाँ रहो मिलके रहो, जहाँ रहो मिलके रहो, ये कहीं भूल ना जाना. दोस्ती ऐसा नाता, दोस्ती ऐसा नाता, जो सोने से भी महंगा, जो सोने से भी महंगा.
Wo ihr lebt, bleibt zusammen, wo ihr lebt, bleibt zusammen, das solltet ihr nie vergessen. Freundschaft, eine Bindung, Freundschaft, eine Bindung, die teurer als sie wohl ist, die teurer als sie wohl ist.
Thank you.
Messages for the students. A lot of times I am asked in my interviews कि आने वाली नस्लों के लिए आपका क्या मैसेज है? And I tell them, अभी ना आए. But after seeing these guys today, zero आए. My biggest challenge today is not to get emotional. Because when I was here upstairs in K1, K2, K3, K4, all of you were not born. The depressing news is even your fathers were not born. So I was here a long time ago. This very hall, we used to sleep. After lunch, there was a sleep period here. And the gaddas were all lifted out and we had to sleep for 2 hours. And there is nothing more challenging in your life is to sleep under supervision. It's not possible. But Aitchison College management refused to listen. And then after the 2 hours were up, then we had to play sports. 4 messages I need to give you, very brief messages. First of all, I was immensely pleased that Sadat took the words out of my mouth this morning. For my entire life, I have been teaching the guiding principles to the youth. And the number 1 principle is integrity. Do not allow integrity to be taken away from you, because this is something that only you can give up. Nobody can forcibly take away. People can only buy you if you are for sale. So whatever you do, your measure will be your character. Number 2, passion. there was another kid upstairs who and I were both summoned by the PT master in the year of our Lord 1960. And he drew a line on the cricket field and said, "Isse aage agar kaun aayega to no ball milega." And while I bowled an average of 4 no balls in every match I played, he never bowled a single no ball in 21 years. He played 187 one-day internationals and 87 test matches and not a single no ball. The PT master gave the same instructions to everyone, but one kid had more passion. And if you are passionate, and you know what passion in Urdu is? It's the name of a band. It's called Junoon. And there are 2 measures of passion. First, to do the best when nobody is watching. Don't do it for somebody else. And the second rule of passion is, how I will measure you is how good you do things you don't get paid for. That's passion. अगर पैसा मिलता है तो फिर तो मोटिवेशन और हो गई, फिर तो लालच हो गई. But things you don't get paid for, how well you do that. Point number 3, never leave your home to make money. If you leave your home to make money, you're putting the cart before the horse. Leave your home to do the best you possibly can in whatever you're doing, and money will follow, I promise you. If you go searching for money, it's never going to come your way. And the last thing is, you know what every world champion in sports has in common? Every world champion. They have one thing in common, and it's not passion, and it's not hard work, and it's not skill. The only thing they have in common is that they all have a coach. They are world champions, and they have a coach. They are the world's best, and they have a coach. You know who Babar Azam's coach is? I am. And you know the beauty and why I said yes? Because it was his need. He called the Pakistan Cricket Board from New Zealand and I said, I want Azam to be the coach. So when the PCB called me, I said, is this your idea or is this his idea? And they said, what difference does that make? I said, it makes one big difference. If it's not your idea, the answer is no. And if it's his idea, the answer will always be yes. And they said, he wanted it. I said, so be it. So the best batsman in the world, 25 years of age, drives an Audi. He can't step out of the house without signing autographs. Decides that he needs a coach. Because the belief is that I'm good, but I can be better. And never, when you get into your professional years, you know the first thing you're going to get allergic to is coaching. You hate coaches. And when I asked managers in Nestle and IBM, can you think of a coach? And you know they have to go back to school. मेरे 9th class का physics teacher बहुत अच्छा. And I said, why don't you have a coach after you left university? So never be allergic to coaching. Okay? One last confession. The Pakistan we were given and the Pakistan we are handing over to you, we've made a mess of it. But you guys have to fix it. Promise?
I feel honored and privileged as Mamu that I can call you my Mamu. It's a privilege, and he was staying with me, and I requested him to accompany us here today, me and my sister, because I thought that the way he can speak, I don't think I've ever seen anyone speak with straight from the heart and the passion. Wanted to share it, and on his note of coaching, I would just say thank you to all the boys, all the societies, and specifically and especially all the teachers. Thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you for making this day special. This couldn't have been done without you. Thank you, Kamran sir, for always being there. Can't do anything without you, but thank you very much. It's the passion, and the song was sung so beautifully. Ye Watan Tumhara Hai. That I thought I was going to cry myself. It just touches you, and yes, you all have to fix it, whatever wrong we've done. But thank you, boys, and I just want to end with a little vigor, and I would request my prefects to please come forward and sing the college song. So let's just, promise to follow the mission and the vision presented in that particular song. Just one stanza, but together, please come forward.